Welcome back to another episode of Button Mash on WCRD 91.3 FM, the Pulse of Ball State. We've got a great round of news and features for you today on Ball State's only gaming news show. I hate saying the word only because we are the premier gaming news show, aren't we, guys?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
And you may notice there are like a million more voices than usual on this episode of Button Mash. Let's go down the row and introduce ourselves, starting with...
my name is Nick Dell.
What are you?
That's such a big question. I'm a junior at Ball State, pre-business major right now.
Awesome.
Yeah. I know, how much do you want from me?
Do you want to give them the social security number too, your bank account information?
And who is that?
My phone number is.
I'm Brian Cook. I was actually on 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a sales and promotion student here at Ball
So
State.
far, Nick is the only person we've had comment or say, we want him to stay.
Yeah!
I don't know why.
I will be the first person.
My loading voice.
Hold on, all right. Next on the list here.
Hi, I'm Parker Eichenberry. I'm a human being made of skin, and this is my first episode here on Button Mash. So I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me on,
How did
guys.
you find out about your skin?
Series of doctor tests,
Okay.
It's terrible.
All right, and last, maybe.
My name's Kaegan Stogsdill. I'm a journalism, news, and TCOM major, and I also think I have skin. Maybe. Just maybe.
And let's not forget.
You don't. We all do. And Luke is here again, as always. And I'm that guy
Yanking
who
that
likes
mic.
to eat. Yeah, I ain't right. Who likes to eat peanut butter out of the jar with a spoon every day.
And I'm your host, Joseph Knoop.
You go, girl.
So let's jump right into the news. It's been a busy week for a lot of companies here. Biggest update so far, aside from Nintendo sort of burning and tanking, Microsoft has appointed a new CEO named Satya Nadella. Bill Gates has been given a new title, founder and technology advisor to Microsoft's board, and Gates has been quoted as saying, quote, "During this time of transformation, there is no better person to lead Microsoft than Satya Nadella. Satya is a proven leader with hardcore engineering skills, business vision, and ability to bring people together." A lot of nice PR speak. Nadella's qualifications are pretty clear. He's a 20-year Microsoft veteran and former head of the cloud computing division. Microsoft's revenue has been growing over the last few years, but it's been slower than it did in the last decade. So, guys, have you checked that out yet? What do you think about this new guy?
Okay, so I'm kind of glad because I was reading an article. I can't remember where it was from, but Bill Gates came out and said he was happy that he stepped down because now he's excited to be back working kind of like in the technological side and start making things. I mean, Bill Gates created a lot of great things, and he needs to be back out there creating more great things.
Yeah, at first I was kind of wary about the whole, he's actually stepping down and replacing this person, but then I thought about it really. Bill Gates knows his stuff. And I feel like if he trusts this person with what he's doing, then more power to him.
I think that the new business leader, we're obviously going to see a lot of more news coming out of Microsoft than usual because of this new leader. He's a different mind than, and we've had other companies like Xbox just going through a laundry list of new people, new CEOs. Who was the guy who stepped down recently? Does anybody remember?
Phil Spencer. No, not Phil Spencer is still there. Oh man, what's his name?
I don't know.
He's at Zynga now. And
the Zynga CEO now. So I'm more confident in Microsoft than Xbox right now, and hopefully some of that oversight can go into them.
We'll talk about a little bit of nerd crossover. He is actually responsible for helping the creation of Xbox Live and how great that system is now. So I mean, I think it's really good. I think Windows 8 is a disaster. I don't like Windows 8 personally, so it'll be interesting to see like where they take Microsoft.
We've got an update from Nick Dowell. The name of that former Microsoft, or is it Microsoft or Xbox CEO, right?
I think it was Xbox.
Xbox.
Yeah. He was ahead
Don
of Xbox.
Matrick.
Yes.
Don Matrick. May he burn for eternity.
Oh, that's so delightful.
Wow.
Because
I thought you said Don Mattress for a second.
he's memory foam. Yeah.
Memory
always
foam we
remember
wish
him.
we could forget.
All right. Moving on to the next story, we'll keep an update on the Microsoft as far as Nadella is concerned. Michael Pachter, a industry analyst who focuses a lot on the entertainment industry, video games, does a show on game trailers, which I particularly enjoy, but a lot of people disagree with him sometimes, but that's the internet for you. He has come out saying that the PlayStation has, quote, no prayer of success. Sony unveiled PlayStation Now, its game streaming service, last month at CES, the Consumer Entertainment Software Show, and he's quoted as saying, PlayStation Now is a joke. There is no publisher that is going to license content that's less than 2 years old because they would be concerned that they can't sell as many copies if they make it available for subscription or rental. This has no prayer of working, none. Pachter also said to Escapist magazine, there is no meaningful market for the old games Sony is going to get. PlayStation Plus subscribers gained access to Outlast last month for PS4 and PS3 and a couple other titles. He also goes on to say, sure, PS Plus is a great deal, and the free games make people more likely to join, but the real reason to join is PS4 multiplayer. PS Now doesn't get you multiplayer. What do you guys think?
That's kind of bogus. I mean, there's so much value. Even if you don't play anything online, you still get all these free games. I think the last 3 months in particular have been exceptionally well in showing how much better games the PSN network, PlayStation Plus, their paid service, can get you instead of Xbox Live. Xbox Live gives you Halo 3 and Gears of War, and these are old games from like 4, 5, 6 years ago. But PlayStation Plus gave us Outlast, which came out last year. Remember Me came out last year. Payday 2 came out last year. And Metro Last Light came out last year. All came out last year, and 3 of those 4 are single player. So,
and I like how you say last year like it wasn't 4 or 5 months ago. These aren't that old games.
Yeah, these are not. Yeah.
I mean, you look at it, and with PlayStation Plus, like Resogun was free at launch. Resogun is arguably the best game on PlayStation 4 to date. And two, like this is the same guy that was talking about how the consoles were gonna die, and like 5 million sales later, I think they're doing okay. So I respect his opinion, but PlayStation Plus is incredibly, hugely popular.
Let me play devil's advocate here for a second. Some commenter made an interesting point that, say for example, that Nintendo did a similar thing, Nintendo Now or whatever. I think that could work because they're banking on nostalgia. And Nintendo graphics, it doesn't really matter. You're playing the game for that sense of fun and that sense of style. However, these major Sony titles, these major PlayStation titles, are all banking on being cutting edge, cutting cinematic quality and gameplay for the time that they came out. Are they going to get that same grasp as Super Mario 64, which we all know like got re-released on Nintendo DS years back, and was just as fun to play then?
I think there's one reason Sony's doing this, and one reason only, is when games like Uncharted comes out, Uncharted 4, and they have new customers who own PlayStation that never played a PlayStation 3, they'll have those Uncharted games to play and hopefully be able to stream those.
Kind of going along with that, Kingdom Hearts 3, or sorry, it's 3. Yeah, it's 3. It's coming out, and it's been 10 years since the Kingdom Hearts 2 was made, and people would definitely want to get on that audience. I mean, the PS2 had revolutionized. I think it revolutionized gaming in terms of like what it can do and creating a huge library of games. I'm pretty sure it has the biggest library of games to
Big
date.
RPG console.
Yeah, there's definitely an audience for it.
Yeah. So I'd be interested to see where that goes. I'm so sorry, Kaegan. I kind of completely forgot to introduce your story originally, so you could get out of here.
No, that's fine. I'll go
so
ahead.
let's move on into that one, and maybe we'll come back to PlayStation Now.
Okay. So basically, all of you guys know that Flappy Bird is a huge, huge hit on iOS and Android devices. And I saw an article today that was talking about the developer. I know I'm going to butcher his name. I think it's Dong Nugent. He's a Korean single indie developer, and he's created this game that is incredibly hard. I don't know if you guys have played it, but here's the real kicker. It's a free game, but only on ads alone, he's making $50,000 a day, according to that article that I read. So I was just going to see if you guys have played the game and what you guys might have thought about it. It's incredibly hard.
I like Helicopter. I remember, playing those vector graphics and everything back in the 70s, except I wasn't born yet.
I definitely think that there is a sea of masochists out there that are willing to play this game. So, if he's making $50,000 a day off of ad money, I think we're probably in the wrong business. Definitely consider it. But more power to him. I mean, if there is a market for it, I think that he's exploiting it really well. Yeah.
You gotta respect somebody that has created a game so simple but so frustrating for people that actually play it. My girlfriend downloaded it, and within about 3 or 4 minutes, deleted it off her phone because she was like, I don't understand how anybody's entertained by this.
Mind you, that's the only way to beat Flappy Bird is by deleting it. So, I mean, it's a great game, but it really goes back to that. The simplicity of the system, the gameplay system, and then the score. It's great to post a picture of your score, like on Instagram. Like, I got a 24. What have you done with your life? You know, and Flappy Bird's huge. And, you know, in 2 weeks, we're not going to be
What is
talking about
24
it.
in the context
Yeah.
of Flappy Bird? Is that actually impressive?
My
it's
high score
crazy.
is like 10, and I've been playing for about a week and a half now.
Yeah, and you know, it's going to be a fad. It's going to go away, but it goes back to the dichotomy.
Well, Angry Birds ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean,
are we thinking synergy here?
Are we
Like
allowed to say Candy
Flappy
Crush,
Bird
or-
branded chicken nuggets or something?
I mean,
Angry Birds.
in the week it's been out, there's been tons going on in terms of me. Like, there's tons of vines you'll see. There's actually a game, I think it's called Smashy Bird or whatever, where you play as one of the pipes. That you smash the birds as they fly through because you're so frustrated with the game.
that's
Like
great.
that's how big
feel
it's
like-
gotten lately.
I feel like you could use that to take out your vengeance later. After you've been playing Flappy Bird, you go to that game and you just go nuts and you just kill a bunch
It's
of birds.
way easier than Flappy Bird, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
We need to create Grand Theft Angry Birds, something like that. So just like fly an airplane through the air and just be like low hanging fruit.
Hide pigs on top of skyscrapers.
Oh my god! Or what was that like Steven Spielberg game, like Crazy Blocks or something?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Boom Blocks.
Yeah, Boom Blocks. That's
Blocks.
oh my god,
Yes, it
Boom
is.
Blocks. That game is so much
Steven
fun.
Spielberg was ahead of his time for that. All right, we've got about 9 minutes left, so we can.
I'm going to sign off real fast. I'll see you guys later. Go ahead, Lucas. I think you're going to take over.
All right, we're transitioning.
Execute sound effects.
Wonderful. It's wonderful.
Bye, Keegan.
Enjoy the weather.
Bye.
Don't slip on the ice.
Yes, I haven't slipped once this entire semester so far.
And my
That is-
keeps popping.
I'm sorry, what was that, Brian? Not talking into the mic.
I have slipped, and my hip keeps popping out of place. It feels wonderful.
How old are you?
72.
All right,
He's got
moving on
up the
to
news story.
next on the news. We have Hideo Kojima is defending Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes length. For those of you not in the know, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, and I'm gonna get tired of saying that real soon, is the prologue to Metal Gear Solid 5, the highly anticipated stealth title in the Metal Gear Solid universe. I believe it's going to be a prequel with Big Boss. The Ground Zeroes, which has been shown at like TGS, E3, the demo, they're saying that it is only about 2 hours in length. You can beat it in about 2 hours, and the sad thing is they're still charging about, depending on what console or platform you get it on, it's anywhere between $20 to $40 for 2 hours worth of content. What do you guys think? Because there's some things here.
Honestly, there's two sides to this. Things I don't like and things I do. I'm not sure how I feel. I kind of don't like it, but this just could be because it's something new. But just the way in which they're going about and releasing this, they're coming out with. Is it the full game is coming out like in 2 years, and then there's this tidbit? Because what's the difference between them? Like, isn't there two sets? Like, there's this downloadable one coming out soon, or retail also.
Ground Zeroes, essentially.
There's Ground Zero, and then there's Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah,
a different
I
game?
believe Ground Zeroes is a year before 5 is going to come out.
That's very strange. I mean, it sounds kind of
Maybe
like
less.
episodic.
I don't
but-
have that
but
information in
rather,
front
or
of me.
rather like a reversal of DLC.
Yeah,
and like really spaced out.
This sounds like something that could easily be released as DLC, and it kind of reminds me, like I was thinking, The Walking Dead season 1. It had like the 500 days, which was a prequel to the
Right.
first game.
Yeah, it was a
Was it?
transition.
It was 400 days.
400 days. There was a certain amount of
Yeah, it
days.
was a transition from.
Yeah,
season one to
exactly.
two.
Like that's something that I could see being reasonable, but like.
So Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes is going to release on March 20th, so not too far from now. But let me double check on Metal Gear Solid 5. Keep going.
Yeah, but the one thing though that I'm not mad about, like everybody, is this whole 2 hours thing. And granted, they're saying that the replayability is coming from these other features, which may or may not be fun. We have no idea of telling. Of course, they're going to tell us that it's enjoyable because they want us to buy it. But if just the main base story is only 2 hours long, I actually would kind of prefer that as opposed to some long, sprawling, like 30-hour thing, because a lot of times those games that last like 30 hours, you're not just doing story-related stuff. You'll spend hours at a time in between cutscenes or however else the narrative progresses in the game doing random gamey things like going around and doing collectibles and just doing fetch quests, things like that. Just kind of side missions that are just really just very gameplay focused and add nothing to the story.
Right, but how much money would people be willing to drop on something like that? Because
It all depends on the replayability.
yeah, and the way they were talking, it was like replayability with time trials and stuff like that, which is like Devil May Cry kind of, and that kind of got tired after you beat
So
the
I
game.
think this whole 2 hours thing could be really good in terms of how they tell the story, because it could keep it really tight and focused. Like, what if you just in one sitting finish a story? You're much more likely, I feel like, to recall that story than if you have to take like 4 or 5 sittings in between the course of like several days. You know what I'm talking about?
That's
But-
an interesting theory.
Yeah, but if there's still all this replayability added to it, then you're still getting your according bang for your buck.
Well, two things here. With March 20th being the release date of Ground Zeroes, I could not find a release date for 5. So that I'm willing to believe that it will probably be anywhere from like half a year to a year after Ground Zeroes.
From what I remember reading, although I believe it was a comment, so this could just be some random guy not knowing what he's talking about, but I believe it's coming out sometime in 2015 to 16.
That sounds pretty accurate. And also, Hideo Kojima himself tweeted his explanation for the length and the pricing of it. Quote, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes includes the main mission alongside 5 side ops. All missions include elements such as trial records where players can compete against each other online. This is not a linear game like the past. Ground Zeroes offers freedom of approach and playstyle, which we hope players will enjoy over and over without boring. I believe people will be satisfied with the playtime of Ground Zeroes and will not stress the clear time, which is a standard for linear games. So he's obviously trying to emphasize the fact that they're going honest to God open world with this, and I don't know what these trial records probably sound like. Time trials, not getting caught, not getting seen or anything like that. Completionist kind of stuff.
Well, I was just going to say something about the fact that I feel like Metal Gear Solid, and I said it like very articulate just to make sure that I wasn't going to end up just having it be a word sandwich. But I feel like that's a brand that, while we may all look at it as that business model, like the pricing and all, doesn't really match up exactly how we would feel like, I feel like that's a brand that almost has the EA complex, where you have those people that are like, well, this is a terrible EA game. We're never going to buy another EA game again. And then they go to release another EA game and they're like, here's our money. I feel like the fans...
Such too.
Metal Gear Solid has the most rabid fan base of almost anything. And I'm sorry, someone's like waving in the other studio there. I'm like, are they trying to flag me down? But I remember reading like essays about the story on Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, and just how in-depth people actually got into it and all the lore and the mystery of it. It's probably one of the top 10 like rabid fan bases in the world.
Sony generally has like really rabid fan bases when it comes to their games.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say the fact that, like, I feel like Metal Gear Solid fans are going to be dedicated enough to go after 2 hours worth of content in order to just progress the story if they're that attached to it. I know if Mass Effect released something like this, which they do. They've done DLC and stuff for like Mass Effect 3 and all that stuff. But if they release something like this, I would be at GameStop right now pre-ordering if they're open still.
Oh, I'm a glutton for punishment.
Closed.
Yeah.
They're closed right now.
Are they?
Thanks.
Aw. All right, so the game's going to be released on various platforms for anywhere between $20 and $40. I believe the more advanced you get, like PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, the physical copies anyway, that's where you're going to get the $40 price tag. I think it's going to be $30 for the previous gen consoles. Do not quote me on that, though, because I'm a terrible journalist. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll come back, we'll talk some features, and we will... What are we going to do?
Talk some more features, or talk some video game stuff, or
Talk some stuff, then some things.
I'm going to go make a sandwich. And welcome back to Button Mash on WCRD 91.3 FM, the Pulse of Ball State. I'm getting like a little more excited there as I go along. It's been a long day, guys. Folks, you can download the WCRD app on iPhone or Android stores for free and listen to the show as it plays and everything else that plays on WCRD. I'm sure we're not the best program. No, we are. It's great. We're awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, and with me, we've got...
Nick Dell.
Parker Eichenberry, the guy with the skin.
And Brian Cook.
Just the man with the plan.
Never let Parker go before someone. Otherwise, we're not going to get
It's
anywhere.
really weird. That's actually on Parker's business card. Parker Eichenberry, guy with the skin.
All right, so folks, today we are talking about Nintendo and the recent developments with their company, and quite honestly, the hole that they've sunk themselves into. For those not in the know, Nintendo's founding family, the Yamauchi family, the founder of Nintendo recently died less than a year ago, and his family received the shares that were in his possession, about 9.4 million shares, I believe.
Yeah.
Obviously worth billions in yen, millions in American dollars. And they sold off their shares. Nintendo bought them back for whatever the reported sum was. And it's also interesting to note that Nintendo, surprisingly enough, has no debt. They have no debt, and they have $8 billion in the bank. So they're not as bad as a lot of companies could be. But I thought it'd be interesting to talk about what does Nintendo need to do to get itself out of this creative and financial rut. We've got a couple of suggestions here, but I want to hear from you guys if you've got anything right off the bat.
Based on what we're going to read ahead, the big thing Nintendo needs to do is start taking more risks besides just making a new console. Because obviously the Wii U was kind of found in what they already did. It's kind of flopping, unfortunately. So, and we'll talk about it a little bit more later on, but it needs to branch out. It needs to try to do new things. That's why they don't have any debt, because they haven't tried anything new.
Yeah, just basically building off of what he said, they more or less need to become a little bit of what they don't want to be. Nintendo's been very, we don't like outside voices, we don't like other people commenting and trying to get their head in on what we're trying to do. They basically need to just open up with what they're doing and be a little bit more free to try new things.
It's interesting you should point that up, and I'll get to you in a second, Parker, but I'll get to you in a second.
I know you will.
The Japanese business culture, especially, and in an extent the Japanese culture, all sort of depends on the power of hierarchy, and that's where we see the huge difference between Eastern and Western games. Is these developers like Kojima, Shigeru Miyamoto, they all have the power, and there's much less emphasis on underlings and lower developers having an input on there. They have to follow the creator's vision rather than the team cohesioning, that whatever the word might be.
I gotcha.
You got what I mean, folks. In order to create a much more quality product, which is why the Japanese game market is sort of starting to dip despite the occasional hit. Parker, what do you think?
Well, just bumping off of what everybody else has been saying. They do need to take risks, especially with their franchises. I mean, a lot of Nintendo's success is based on their franchise, Mario, Legend of Zelda, and that stuff. And they just keep banking on all those different type of franchises. Again, they need to take more risks, maybe branch out, make some more franchises.
Yeah, definitely going along with that. I mean, I love Nintendo franchises with all my heart. Legend of Zelda I have lived with my entire life, but when was the last time we saw a new Nintendo IP? I think Pikmin, maybe? And that was for the GameCube.
For the Wii U.
Yeah, was there anything new for the Wii U?
Yeah, they had a Pikmin for that.
Right, but that's not a new IP. That's
a sequel.
Yeah, it's a sequel. There's no new original idea, and that's kind of what they've got going on there. So
Animal Crossing?
Animal Crossing was on the GameCube.
It was.
They also have it on the 3DS.
They have, and the Wii. They've had it for every console. I mean, every game they have out right now is a sequel to something they already have existing.
Mm-hmm. So maybe along those lines, they should do something like what PlayStation is doing with the PlayStation Now service. We talked about this earlier in the news segment, but maybe a Nintendo Now service is what they need to do. It would obviously be a much more easy, streamlined way to access those old quality games that you still love and that age fairly well still too.
They kind of have that right now with the Virtual Console. Obviously you have to buy it and pay for it, but you just download it right onto your console and just have
But how much more attractive would a streaming service be where, okay, I want to play Super Smash Brothers just to relive the classic, but I don't have a Wii. Maybe I just have the most modern Wii U or a compatible tablet or something like that. If you can put it on everything like Sony's doing, so obviously it's possible in the realm of technology.
Absolutely.
You'd attract so many more people rather than the moms who bought their kids the Wii U.
The only issue you can really have with that is that but the Wii U, which surprised me to know when I got it, there's no built-in Ethernet. It's Wi-Fi, or you have to buy a USB adapter. So that might create a flaw because some people, especially if you're living in a dorm on campus, you're not going to get reliable Wi-Fi. So you'll need that. But if they don't have that Ethernet capability, then what exactly can you do?
That's very true. I know plenty of people who their Wi-Fi, because of brick walls and old structures like that, cannot get a decent internet signal.
just building off of what we've talked about, the big thing for me is marketing. And they need to. Nintendo's very notorious for going after I feel like the market that they aren't necessarily going to go out to the store and buy a console or next gen console. And they're going after the moms, the families, which is fine. They're cornering that market. You don't see Sony and Microsoft going after them necessarily all the time. But in the long run, you're going after a market that doesn't really have a lot of money attached to it. And while you don't need to go directly after these dedicated gamers, the people that play Call of Duty and stuff like that, going after the gamers that aren't attached to a family opens you up to a little bit more of a income from those kind of people, where if you're going after a family,
if you keep banking on nostalgia, yeah, doesn't matter how many kids you can sell it to. The average age of the gamer is in their 30s, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the perfect audience for nostalgia at this point, because you have such a wide swath of titles to choose from if you're going to keep making sequels to Metroid or Pokemon or anything like that. Yeah, they do need to sort of bank back from the focus of Mom and little Jimmy to Uncle Jimmy.
We love you, little Jimmy, though. You're a sweet guy.
Nice kid.
I always liked your uncle more.
Oh my gosh.
We're getting into some issues that we don't really want to discuss here.
So let's talk about some of these points. This is an article from CNN Money that I enjoyed reading. Michael Pachter suggested that they need to go cross-platform and license. So maybe instead of still focusing on their own hardware or their own streaming sort of software, they need to, say, throw in the towel and go the way of Sega and just live a life of making the titles for more successful consoles like the PS4, Xbox One, etc. Do you think that's viable, or I feel like that might be just a huge slap in the face? No one would be happy, but it might be a necessary step.
I think Nintendo needs to understand that the room that they're in right now is getting really stuffy, and they need to kind of open up the window and let the fresh air in. They need to start branching out, because honestly, Nintendo has such a deep history. The early history with the NES brings back to a time where people didn't say, hey, I'm going to go play video games. They said, hey, I'm going to go play Nintendo. You don't see people doing that anymore. It's not like, hey, I'm going to go play Wii U. 9 times out of 10, somebody's telling you they're probably going to go play like an Xbox, a PlayStation, a PC. Nintendo needs to try to jump back into the 21st century and go after, get involved with Apple. Get involved with the Google Play Store, because those are big companies that you put your name attached to them, people are going to care about that.
And one of the things that Sony really capitalized on is, versatility, and, Wii U kind of tried to do that. I mean, with, the PS3 and the PlayStation Vita, they kind of trying to market it as if that you could stop your game and then continue playing it on your PlayStation Vita. And, the Wii U kind of tried to capitalize on that. But if you allow for more, cross-branding, crossover kind of stuff, I think it opens up a whole new array of marketing for them.
All right, well, moving on to the next point, do they perchance need to pounce on the mobile market? Like I was saying with the possible streaming service, that is just a theory of mine. If you can put it on my phone, if you can put it on our tablets, which are getting more and more convenient, more and more, I don't want to say large, because obviously small is in, and there's a wide variety of phone sizes for the right kind of consumer. Do you think it'd be possible to make a buck off of playing Pokemon on your iPhone?
Well, I mean, just as an example, I'm pretty sure Final Fantasies 1 through 6 are all on the iOS App Store. So that's kind of something that
7. Where are you?
that's gonna be a huge. That's a 3-disc game. But I mean, I like to play some old school Nintendo. I like to play Link to the Past on my iPhone. I'd like to play the original Zelda. I'd like to maybe not Zelda 2. That was just too stressful. But have you played Zelda 2?
I've never played it.
It's a side scroller. It's interesting. But I'd like to play those games on a mobile when I'm just driving around and having something that has a better battery than my 3DS.
Hey,
you
don't text and drive. That's a terrible thing.
Well, no, I'm not driving. Someone else.
Don't link to the past and drive.
Oh my gosh.
Well, just jumping off of what Nick is saying, I've seen hundreds upon maybe thousands of videos that teach you how to jailbreak your iPhone in order for you to play Pokemon Yellow, and they're
emulators, essentially.
Yes, emulators. So definitely there's a market for it, and I really think Nintendo should jump into that.
How well has it worked for other franchises like Final Fantasy? Have they made a buck off of that, or are they just porting them over because, well, we're just throwing the assets into this and making the most amount of money we can for the least amount of effort?
In my experience, and this has been with like a bunch of other games too. Another example is they have the original Sonic the Hedgehog on the iOS store. It's basically the same game. They just put like a little D-pad and A and B buttons on the screen for you to use. So, I mean, in terms of like games like Final Fantasy, where that bottom half of the bar is just being used for turns anyway, then it should make a huge difference. But for games like Zelda or Pokemon, which are actually a little bit more involved, then it might, because like you have to use the full screen for that, it might be a little bit more complicated.
Well, what they could do, they could just make a peripheral so you could play video, have the little D-pad and the A and B buttons on the side so you don't have to press your screen.
I believe those actually exist.
In that spirit, what could, if Nintendo does pull the plug on the Wii U, and it looks more and more certain sort of every day as we get farther along with rumors of Nintendo Fusion, the health sort of applications that they're looking at now, what if they did build a new console, what are we thinking as far as improvements to what we have? Because the Wii obviously was a simple, very, very attractive sort of console to buy for parents, for casual gamers, but then they sort of borked that on the Wii U.
I think the Wii, for me, was Mario Party as a console, where I could literally invite like 3 or 4 friends over and be like, let's all play Wii bowling. And that's very much what it was. But I feel like Nintendo's going to have to bite the bullet and more or less have to start becoming what they don't want to be, which is the Xbox, the PlayStation 4, because I really don't think they can exist in a market. It's very difficult to build a health-based console where video games has such a stigma of like people sitting around in the dark and playing Call of Duty for 23 hours straight. Like it's difficult to branch into that market, and I feel like.
Well, what about titles like the Just Dance things and the Kinect Dance titles? There's obviously a market for more active games like that. Granted, you might have to make it a party atmosphere, but it's certainly not extravagant to think that people are cool with getting up and dancing around as long as you're having a stupid fun time making fun of yourself with your friends. Everyone's just sighing. I
agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I dance.
Yeah, I do those things.
Have you guys ever played Just Dance?
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's a good workout.
On the Kinect, the
Apache jump on it.
We need to have a. Have you heard the metal version of Rah Rah Rasputin?
No, but I need to.
All right. Well, I'll cue that one up here in a minute. But so what? Anything else as far as a new console? I think that maybe we need to get rid of. I like the idea of the touchscreen on the bigger pad. I actually went down to we have a lab here at the university where we can do some capture stuff that we're probably going to work on soon. But seeing the Wii U touchpad there, I was kind of surprised by how big it was, yet how small, and just like I'm thinking, when am I actually going to use this? It's kind of like the 3DS where you have to make a title specifically for it, or else it's not going to work.
I know I can kind of say without a doubt that if they did decide to pull the plug on the Wii U, they'd have a lot of really angry Wii U purchasers, because like with consoles, you buy them with like a long-term commitment. Like, I bought my Wii U assuming I'd have it. I'd be using it for a certain
and it's collecting
period of
dust
time.
in our apartment.
No, I play it. I played Mario today. It was exciting. But, I mean, if they're going to pull the plug and get rid of all support, then there's going to have to be some sort of like reward or something given to those people who bought the Wii U, assuming they'd have it for a long period of time than just like the 3 or 4 years it got support.
We'll give you a GameCube for how long?
I'll take that. Yes, yes.
I need to go find my old GameCube. It's sitting in a closet
The
somewhere in my
Wii plays
parents' house.
GameCube games?
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Well, old
on-
generation Wii's, not the new ones.
What?
Ouch.
Not the new ones.
Like the newer, like black ones, I think. They don't play them.
The newer SKUs.
Yeah. They don't have the GameCube ports.
I've never learned how to pronounce that word, and I never will. SKUs. The SKUs.
SKUs?
SKUs?
That's what yeah. It's
Skew.
the
You're a SKU.
Wait,
You
what?
also smell like cheese.
Oh, God, not this again.
Jeez.
A little in-joke
And
for
not-
us.
Colby
Ouch.
Jack.
All right. Well, we've got a few minutes here. Anything else as far as Nintendo is concerned? I still want to see a sort of PlayStation Now-esque service, but yes.
A little bit of positive news that I was really excited about. The Pokemon Bank is finally released in North America, which is really exciting because it's been down for a while. So yeah, if you want that, you can hop on it.
Tell us more about that.
Basically, the Pokemon Bank is a way for you to transfer your Pokemon from Generation 5 to Generation 6, which is a cross-platform thing right now. The way they're doing it right now is the app is free to try or free to download. It comes with the Poke Transporter app as well. It will have a subscription fee. I think it's $4.99 per year, but you get a 30-day free trial. I mean, it went down the day it went up because the Nintendo servers couldn't handle all the people downloading it. Japan got it back shortly after that. Then it recently came out in Australia and New Zealand yesterday, or not yesterday, a couple days ago. And then on the 5th, apparently, it came out here in North America, which I'm gonna rush home and get that downloaded. I'm really excited now.
All right. Well, anything left to say, guys? No?
It's been a pleasure.
All right, folks. That has been Button Mash on WCRD. Gonna cue up a little music here. Oh my god, that's a little loud. So, folks, if you're interested, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and Blogspot. Every URL, essentially, /BudMashBSU. So, Facebook.com/BudMashBSU, Twitter.com/BudMashBSU, etc. The Blogspot is BudMashBSU.blogspot. What are you doing, Nick? What was
I was
that?
counting for you because you're like, you got Facebook and Twitter.
I will rub cheese over you.
Okay.
And make your a reality. So, yeah, and we're also hiring. We need more people to help us expand Bud Mash into its own property. Folks, we are expanding into Byte, a new geek and tech and gaming culture publication. We're going to be having reviews, we're going to be having news, we're going to be having videos, all in the name of bringing the opportunity for journalism TCOM students, anybody really. I don't think there's a journalism TCOM person in this room besides me, right? Because you're in advertising, essentially.
Yeah.
Brian, you're a web development kind of media.
Emerging media. That's what we like to call.
Emerging media.
Yes.
And Nick, you're a
business,
of course. So see, you can get in on this no matter what you are, as long as you have a passion and you can voice it intellectually. Unlike Nick.
That's how we're playing this game now.
I love you, Nick. All right, guys.
Next episode, Joe's off the show.
Every Friday at 8 p.m. on WCRD 91.3 FM, the Pulse of Ball State. Check out, guys.
Oh, you have a good night.
Bye.
See you later.